Before we go on, we've got the 10 o'clock rule to deal
Make a
with.
motion to go beyond 10 o'clock.
The motion to go beyond 10 o'clock. Do we have a second of the motion to go beyond 10 o'clock by Council Mercia? Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. The next speaker? Mr. Clark.
Tom Foley. It's going to be followed by Ellen Collins.
Good evening, Mayor Kennedy, City Councilors, Manager Murphy, and the management team. My name is Tommy Foley, and my wife and I reside at 248 Douglas Road, and we are proud alumni of Lowell High School, class of 1990 and 1989, respectfully. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to address you tonight regarding the future Lowell High project. In the discussion of the ideal site of Lowell High School, I'm reminded of the mantra of real estate agents: location, location, location. First of all, the current central downtown location of the high school provides equal educational opportunity for the student body, and where nearly 2/3 of the students walk or take the LRT bus. In addition, the central location provides ample opportunities for families of students to access the high school, as well as those pursuing adult education and a connection for the community as a whole. It also avails the students of needed and vital organizations, employment in the downtown businesses, and the patronage for the livelihood of those businesses downtown. Secondly, the current downtown location of the high school already contains the infrastructure, logistics, and parking for the transportation needs of the high school and the community, without the costly reconfiguring, redesign, and undue congestion on the neighborhood roads not designed for such traffic, which would include 24 buses and thousands of cars twice daily. Also, in the event of emergency, the proximity of fire, police, and medical facilities to the downtown high school increases the safety of the faculty, staff, and students. Thirdly, according to Perkins Eastman and Skanska, they denote that the Lowell High School Downtown Option 3 project as less costly versus the Colley locations to the city of Lowell. The Colley option would place an undue burden on the residents, where according to data from citydata.com, 25% of the city residents in 2015 lived below the poverty line, and according to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the projected senior population in Lowell in 2020 will be nearly 20%. In closing, I join a significant number of my neighbors in support of the Lowell High School Downtown Option 3 project, and I respectfully implore the council to vote in favor of Option 3 location for the betterment of the teaching and learning of our students as they advance into the 21st century. Thank you.
Ellen Collins, going to be followed by Andrew Proventia.
Good evening. My name is Ellen Collins. I live at 212 Parkview Avenue in Lowell. Thank you very much for hearing me. Like many others, I'm an alum of Lowell High School. I graduated in 1977, eons ago, and I volunteer at Lowell at the high school now, helping seniors get into college. I'm here to speak in favor of keeping LHS downtown because it ensures equal access to education. In my view, the future of Lowell depends on all students graduating from high school, advancing as far as they can in their education, finding a good job that's challenging, and contributing to the community. Lowell should do everything possible to make sure that this happens for all of its students. In my volunteer work at the high school, I meet very bright, hardworking, fine young people, some of whom appeared before you earlier. And it's very rewarding to work with them. Many are members of the Asian, Hispanic, African, and other minority communities. They come from economically challenged families, and very often either they or their parents were born in countries like Cambodia, Laos, Brazil, Colombia, Ghana, Nigeria, and their parents may not speak English, yet all go to college, some to Ivy League. You know, it's a remarkable achievement of the Lowell school system for that to happen, and it needs to continue to happen. LHS, like the student body of most of the Lowell school system, is a minority student body. You know, 67.9% minority, 29% Asian, 31.4% Hispanic, 7.5% Black or African American. All students in Lowell have an equal right to public education, no matter where they live, no matter what their race or ethnicity. The Equal Protection Clause of our Constitution demands this. I believe that keeping LHS downtown is the best way to ensure a quality education for all Lowell students. The building and its location are important because it ensures access, downtown ensures access to economically disadvantaged students whose families tend to live closer into the downtown area of the city. These students, what goes on in the building is actually more important than the state of the building itself. The fact, in order for that to happen, people have to be able to get to the building and attend classes. You know, students from some of the students I help walk to school or take the LRTA. They live in places like Acre, Lower Centerville, Lower Highlands, Back Central, and Lower Belvedere. Very few from Belvedere. If this high school is kept downtown, these kids will continue to have access to city services that they need to complete their education. UTEC, the Boys and Girls Club, the library, CTI. You know, the Lowell High School library, the librarians are very generous. They come in early in the morning at 7, and at 7 o'clock in the morning at Lowell High School, that library is full. And they stay an hour late so that kids can have access to help from teachers. You know, if a kid doesn't have a computer and needs to do his homework or do his
Ellen,
college.
You're at 5 minutes.
Oh, sorry. So in any event, I ask you to keep Lowell High downtown or, you know, at the least, put it on the November ballot.
Thank you.
Andrew Provencha, and be followed by Helen Littlefield.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, Mr. Manager, thank you for this opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Andrew Provencher. I live at 31 River Cliff Road. Last time I spoke before the council, I criticized the treatment of 75 Arcan Drive as a sacred cow that, according to some city councilors, we shouldn't even consider taking by eminent domain. I wanted to speak tonight about the double standard I see being applied by those councilors to the properties affected by the eminent domain takings required for the infrastructure in the Colley option. First of all, I want to clarify something that I've heard a lot of confusion about. The city transportation engineer, Nick Bossanetto, has said that the left turn lane from Route 38 onto Douglas Road has nothing to do with busing. The need for it is entirely derived from the increased traffic going down these streets for the high school and other reasons. There's going to need to be a left turn lane there regardless of how you bus. Another thing the city transportation engineer said is that the city will need eminent domain to add that left turn lane. Now, given that one of the left turn lanes is from Route 38 onto Douglas Road, and Milan's Pizza is on the corner of Route 38 and Douglas Road, it will be the first business in the crosshairs of the city. And indeed, the preliminary estimate provided in the traffic report showed the estimated land taking extending into the building. This all comes from the city transportation engineer. Some of the councilors will no doubt say that we won't need eminent domain, that Milan's Pizza will not be affected. But I don't think that any of them is going to have a well thought out plan for how we're going to avoid doing this, which is not surprising given that no one on the council is an expert on transportation, which is why we hired the city transportation engineer in the first place to do these studies. And if you believe the city transportation engineer, this is a situation where you cannot have your cake and eat it too. Choosing Cawley forces the city's hand in making hard decisions like this. The transportation engineer has also stated the need for right-of-way takings required to install sidewalks on Clark and Douglas. Some of the councilors have tried to downplay the significance of this, but I can say that if it was in front of my house that you'd need to build a sidewalk, and granted I don't live on Clark or Douglas, but if it was my house, 2 large trees that are the only trees in front of my house would need to be taken down, and my sprinkler system, which someone who owned the house before me and installed it in the right-of-way area, would need to be scaled back. So it's not a trivial matter. And there are people that have far more to lose than me: walls, landscaping, parking spaces, and so on. The transportation engineer even estimated that the taking of private land would be needed for some sections of the sidewalk. Every resident along these roads will be a unique situation to deal with unique costs and challenges, and the city will be leaving a trail of frustrated residents in its wake. Choosing to pursue this, which is the right thing to do if we actually care about the safety of the 200 to 300 students estimated to walk to the high school from Belvedere, choosing to do this will be a logistical quagmire. This is what we are facing with a move to Cawley. Eminent domain has dominated the discussion of building the high school downtown, particularly option 3. And Councilor Mercier in particular has gone out of her way to defend the owners of 75 Arcandra Drive, who, by the way, with the exception of one, don't even live in Lowell. Given that eminent domain and right-of-way takings would be required in choosing the Cawley site, I think it would be a slap in the face to those businesses, some of whom have spoke tonight, to vote for the Cawley option knowing this. Sticking up for out-of-town business owners over the residents who voted you into office is so out of character for you, Councilor, I almost can't believe you would vote for Cawley in spite of the fact that you've indicated that's what you intend to do. I implore you not to vote for an option that would cause so much disruption to these residents and these neighborhood businesses after you have put in so much effort into defending the owners of 75 Arcand Drive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ellen Littlefield, going to be followed by Gregory McKeel.
Good evening, and thank you for letting me speak again. It is no secret that my husband and I support option 3 for the many reasons stated already by more eloquent speakers than I. So I'll make a few points and finish up. It will not be a 6 to 8 year construction time period for option 3, as stated by a previous speaker. Option 3 does not require modulars all over downtown. In fact, it doesn't require them at all. The athletic program at the high school will not be disrupted under option 3 because the field house will not be offline. So home games will continue. Skanska and Perkins Eastman have presented some specific plans to keep students and staff safe during the construction, renovation, and remediation efforts. I'm not sure why we don't believe them. I am a bit amused, somewhat like Andrew, who cite experts about Collie being the best and, their reasons for that, but with no basis, no background, question our city and traffic engineer's judgment when it comes to the traffic analysis and the mitigation that will be needed in my neighborhood. Fairmount Street is not Douglas Road. And one last point about option 3. At today's school building committee meeting, 6 of the 9 votes for option 3 were from educators. 2 school committee members, 2 superintendents, a former superintendent and the current superintendent of schools, a former headmaster with 19 years experience and many other more years in education, and the current head of school, who had his years in education too. I think it is very safe to say that these people have the students' best interests in mind, which is what we all say this project is about. So why aren't we listening to them?
Gregory McKeel. Will be followed by John Cox.
Hello, my name is Gregory McKeel. I live at 85 Alcott Street, Lowell, Mass. And I was nervous to speak at first, but after standing out there since 6:30, I'm more tired than anything else, so I'll try to make this brief. I'm voting for, well, I'm not voting, but I'm speaking about option 3 to keep the high school downtown. And I'm doing it as a self-concerned, not in my backyard, Belvedere resident. I know at first that sounds self-centered, but I'm going to explain why, and hopefully the council will understand that it's more reasonable to feel that way than being self-centered. My grandparents moved here in 1960 from Reading. They bought a house in the Belvedere section of Lowell. They lived there for 40-some-odd years. That house was the house that every family function and holiday party was hosted at. I have fond memories of that house. They did too. They stayed there till they retired, and then they sold. So, fast forwarding a lot years later, now I'm starting a family and I want to buy a house. I go around with a realtor. There's no question that the only place I want to live is Belvedere. Houses in Belvedere are much more expensive than any other part of the city, and my real estate agent did his job and showed me houses in other parts of the city, and you can get so much more for the same price or even less. But I had a gut feeling, and I had good memories, so I stayed the course. My wife disagreed at several times because we ended up buying a house in Belvedere, and I'm going to tell you the price because I feel it plays a factor in this whole discussion, I should say. It was $420,000, and that was the price that we negotiated to. That's a large price tag, especially I'm a middle-class family, and we come from middle-class families. It's a stretch to afford such a price tag. But I followed my gut. We did it. The night we moved in, I laid in bed and I thought, geez, was this the right decision? $420,000 could have bought me a house. And a lot of different areas with less population, areas with less crime, areas with better rated school systems. I mean, ratings are ratings. I got up the next day, went outside, cookies, cupcakes, letters on my front step, signed by all the neighbors, welcome to the neighborhood. A few months after that, knock on my door, hey, we're having a block party. Would you be interested in helping out? Now, I go from liking the house to now loving the house. Who doesn't like a block party? We go to the city, we apply for a permit, we block down the street. I meet all the neighbors. I'm like, I can't believe an area that was so great in the 60s is just as great when I bought the house 2015. So now I say to my wife, we're never leaving. This is the house that we're going to call our forever home. So now you want to build a school. You want to position a school at the Colley site and then beef up everything around it to accommodate it. And so it makes me think maybe I should look at maybe moving somewhere else. Because quite honestly, do I want to, and this might sound self-centered, but do I want to deal with the construction of widening roads to accommodate this high school? Do I want to deal with the traffic that's going to be caused from this high school? And it hurts me to think that I might want to move somewhere else. But it's an option, and I'm just one member. I'm just one taxpayer, and you might say, what's one for the idea of building a new school? But I fear that I'm not alone in this thought process. So I'm asking you, please don't jeopardize the Belvedere residents. Please don't jeopardize the Belvedere residents by putting a school in their backyard. I'm getting woos and wahs and everything. But the truth of the matter is, I wouldn't support a high school of this magnitude in any residential part of the city. I fight through the traffic to get to my house, pull down my street, pull in my driveway, take a deep breath, because I'm in a residential neighborhood where I can relax, where it's tranquil, or I can be at peace. And I feel that a high school of this magnitude doesn't belong in any residential neighborhood. It's a big city. We're talking about 3,200 somewhat students. That's a lot of students. And you want one high school in this city, and there is a option for a centrally located school, and I feel that that's the best option. And I just want to ask the councilors to please reflect on the words that have been spoken by two specific members, and I'm going to say their names because they already voted earlier this afternoon, Mayor Kennedy and Councilor Samaras. I've been listening to what they've had to say, and they've made good points as to why the high school should
You're at
stay
5
downtown.
minutes.
And valid points as to why, valid concerns at why it shouldn't be a Colley. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
John Cox, going to be followed by Joanna Davis.
Good evening, Manager Murphy, Mayor Kennedy, members of the council. My name is John Cox, 375 Gorham Street, Lowell, Massachusetts. I represent the Lowell Doctors Park Associates at 75 Arcan Drive. And we're here to speak in opposition to option 3, which would require the eminent domain taking of their building. 75 Arcan Drive opened in 1970. I was in Lowell High School at the time, 1973 graduate, and has been at that location, continuous operation since then. Now, I've lived in the city my entire life, up to now. And I can't remember any business, any restaurant, any bank, any shop, anything that's been around here and going continuously since 1970. As a matter of fact, 2 of the founding owners' families still practice out of that building. They cover a broad spectrum of dental specialties. There's an optometrist over there who was a founding member of that building. And it has survived all the ups and downs the city has gone through since 1970. The recessions, the good times, the bad times, they're still there. They're very proud of their property, and they're very proud of the reputation they have in this city. They didn't ask for this fight. They did not ask to be taken by eminent domain. but they're very clear in the fact that they love this city. They love to work here. They love to take care of their patients here. They love to employ people from this city, and they want to stay here. They're not trying to be difficult. They just want to stay where they are. And I think anybody who has a business, especially a long-standing business, can understand that point of view. You know, we all talk about economic development. Everyone who runs for office in this city, and they should. It's always a priority of every campaign, economic development. In an old city like Lowell, we need economic development. We need these engines downtown that will fuel things. And we all have a different definition, I'm sure, of what economic development is. But I think most of the definitions would include to create and maintain good jobs. There are over 50 jobs in that building across the street, with an annual payroll close to $2 million. They pay taxes. You want them to pay taxes. They pay taxes in the vicinity of $50,000 a year. You'd like a vibrant business. They have close to 40,000 patient visits every year. You want a business that's going to help give lifeblood to other businesses, like Cobblestones, where the associates have an agreement, a parking agreement, and it's been long-standing with Cobblestones. What happens to Cobblestones if they go away? What about the banks and the restaurants and the shops that their employees, and their patients visit on a regular basis? You'd like a business that would bring people from neighborhoods and surrounding towns into the downtown to look at what's going on in this downtown, to look at the fabulous things that are happening here that maybe they don't see if they stay in Belvedere or Centerville or Pawtuckaville or the Highlands. Maybe they don't see it if they stay in Westford. But maybe if they come to the dentist office, maybe they see it. And maybe they see a restaurant they think is interesting or a store they think is interesting, and they come back to it. You want them to be good, active members of the community. These people across the way have always participated in charitable functions in this city. I don't think they've ever said no to anybody. And you want them to keep their property looking good. You don't want a junk property in the middle of the downtown. And that's clearly not the situation with these people. It's a living, breathing example of a good economic development model. It's an economic engine that would be the envy of, I would suggest, any surrounding community. And what kind of a message does it send to use the powerful tool of eminent domain to take out an active living business when there are other options? And so on behalf of the professionals who reside across the street for almost 50 years, on behalf of their staff, a majority of whom live in Lowell, and most importantly, I think, on behalf of the thousands and thousands of your constituents who are their patients, we ask you not to adopt option 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Johanna Davis, will be followed by Elizabeth Donahue.
Hi, my name is Joanna Danis, 281 Boylston Street, Belvedere. Before I speak, I want to recognize and say thank you to the many downtown supporters that have banded together and support each other at meetings, handed out signs. We formed a community, and the small anecdotes you shared about your school, our school, have given me hope and made a student like me proud. Over the past several months, so many issues have been discussed, dissected here in the public forum. This debate has directly affected the city, my family, friends, and almost everyone in the community. We've gathered together as one voice and stood up for what we believe is the common good of our community. The outcome of its location will undoubtedly affect the city for generations to come. As a graduate of Lowell High School class of 2017, and someone born and raised in Lowell, the city has molded me into the person I am today, and I feel that many can relate to this sentiment. And most of that is due to the formative years I spent downtown. It changed my outlook on life and gave me the chance to foster my love for music as a fine arts student that has access to an auditorium that might not be replicated. The city of Lowell and Lowell High School is a beautiful, special, and one-of-a-kind school due in part to its present location. Its past has made history, It became the first co-ed school in the entire country, and echoing Councilor Samaras' beautiful and eloquent statement, has said before, access to education has always been a priority at Lowell High School. Lowell is a city of culture. Lowell is a city of immigrants. Lowell is a city of pride, spirit, and most importantly, diversity. In turn, Lowell High School is all of these things. By keeping the high school located in downtown, it keeps its doors open to what makes it unique and accessible. It's diversity. It's walking distance from UMass Lowell, Middlesex Community College, the public library, the national parks, and countless community organizations and nonprofits. Being centrally located makes education equal for all while saving the taxpayers over $10 million. As a recent graduate, I feel that throughout this process, the students deserve a representative for their needs and wants. Currently, Lowell High School students have spoken, along with alumni, and we want our high school to stand proudly where it is today. A high school is supposed to serve the whole community, and moving the high school outside of its urban location negatively impacts the vast majority of the city. Lowell High School doesn't belong on the border of Tewksbury. Our fields don't belong in Chelmsford. Studies have shown dropout rates have gone up in schools that have moved from the urban settings, and without busing, more kids will leave Lowell High School altogether and go to the vocational schools, charter schools, and private schools. Current students are the future, and we urge you to choose equal education for all, equal access, and to preserve the culture of our future to experience. Make the right choice, option 3 for Lowell High School downtown.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Donahue is going to be followed by Katrina Walensky.
My name is Elizabeth Donahue. I live on 49 Windsor Park Road. To begin, I would like to thank Mayor Kennedy, City Manager Murphy, and each city councilor for their time and dedication to the city of Lowell and the important decision of the future of Lowell High School. I speak tonight to the City Council as a proud resident of Lowell to impress my support for option 3 and urge the councilors to vote for option 3, the downtown location. I strongly believe a vote for Colley is a disservice to the students of Lowell High and the people of Lowell. Lowell High, in its current downtown location, is centrally located in equidistance to all neighborhoods of Lowell. A student from the neighborhood of Belvedere has no advantage getting to Lowell High's current location than a fellow student from the neighborhood of Pawtucketville, my friend and fellow student Elmer Martinez, for example. However, the Colley location places an undue burden on the students residing in neighborhoods farthest from Colley's location in Belvedere. While I myself reside in Belvedere, many of my friends in high school lived in the farthest neighborhoods of Lowell from my house in Belvedere. If they miss public transportation and walk to the downtown location, their walk often far exceeded an hour. This frame of time constitutes the first 2 to 3 periods of the school day, double that for the Colley location. In addition, the transportation costs are currently estimated to be $3.2 million annually. The downtown location negates these costs. While fiscal responsibility and economic logistics are prominent factors to be considered when casting votes tonight, I wish to spotlight the people of Lowell. I love Lowell, I really do, and I love Lowell's identity. It's urban, plain and simple. As a college student and young woman embarking on the world outside the walls of Lowell, I feel privileged to have attended a high school with such a diverse network of friends and fellow students. My teachers provided me tools for life after Lowell High, and I feel my fellow students did just as well. Yet, I greatly fear Lowell's diverse and urban identity will be compromised by choosing the Colley location. I fear the most vulnerable Lowell residents will not be accounted for with a Colley location. A vote for option 3, the downtown location, ensures the message to the most vulnerable Lowellians is conveyed. They matter to the city, and their access to an education matters. Franklin Delano Roosevelt once said, "The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little." Marginalized communities of Lowell matter. Disadvantaged communities of Lowell matter. All the students of Lowell High School matter. Their education matters, and so does their equal access to that education. A vote for Colley communicates to these communities that their education and accessibility to Lowell High School is not imperative to the city. I implore all the counselors to consider the implication their vote will have on the city of Lowell for years and generations to come. Whether your vote is pledged to the downtown location or the Colley location, I urge the council to consider the message your vote has for the most vulnerable Lowell residents. The accessibility of Lowell High School, the economic repercussions to the taxpayers of Lowell, and equal educational opportunities for all students of Lowell High, no matter their socioeconomic background, will affect Lowell long after your terms as elected officials end. This message to the marginalized of Lowell will also last just as long, if not longer, than the decision of where to place a new high school. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Katrina Walensky, and can be followed by Maria Sheehy.
Hi, thank you for having me speak tonight. Financially, the Colley Plan does not work. Traffic-wise, the Colley Plan does not work. For many other reasons, it doesn't work. But for me, a freshman, class of 2020, most importantly, emotionally, the Colley Plan does not work. I never went to school with kids who all looked like me. I went to school in a very diverse environment. I never went to school with kids who wanted to go to a pretty suburban school like we see on TV. I went to school with kids who appreciated the unique and diverse life that is in Lowell. I say this with all of my heart. This is not just a matter of which site is chosen. This is a racial matter. This is a matter of status. If you care about minorities, if you care about people of all backgrounds and situations, if you care about students and youth who do not grow up in an upper-class white section of Lowell, you will vote to keep Lowell High School downtown. If you vote otherwise, if you vote for Colley, that is an incredibly see-through act against minorities and those who are not as advantaged as the upper-class students of Belvedere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maria Sheehy, and can be followed by Patricia Kerwin-Kilty.
Thank you. Maria Sheehy, 1 Adam Terrace. It's been a long night, so I'm not going to stand here and repeat the many very valid reasons that have been already expressed in support of maintaining Lowell High School downtown. After all, there are at least 12 million of them. However, I will point out that every one of our local educational leaders who has expressed a preference for LHS to remain downtown. And I think that's something to think about. I think it ought to be worth something. And what I will tell you is this, that when this community wakes up in the morning, it will be just as divided as it is right now, maybe more so. Sadly, I think this is attributable to the total lack of leadership on this issue. There's been a glaring void that to me is inexplicable and inexcusable. We have an opportunity to construct a new high school here in Lowell. It's desperately needed. In fact, this will be the largest public high school construction project in the history of the state. However, the process has been marred by misinformation, lack of information, failure to discover or failure to disclose information, including the existence of critical deed restrictions at Colley Stadium, failed outreach to minority communities, more misinformation, and in some cases, willful ignorance of important facts, such as the infrastructure costs and most certain eminent domain necessary to accomplish transportation to a high school at Colley Stadium. In my entire life, most of my 50-plus years in Lowell, I have never witnessed such division and lack of trust in those that were elected to lead this community. We've seen it here tonight. It's pretty obvious, and it's sad. For these reasons, I firmly believe that the only appropriate thing to do is put this question on the ballot for voters to express their will and to be heard. Therefore, I respectfully ask that this council consider a motion to put the question of the location of Lowell High School on the next citywide general election ballot. I hereby present a petition containing the signatures and addresses of 10 registered voters from the city of Lowell, which meets the requirements of Mass General Law, Chapter 53, Section 18A. We respectfully request that the City Council consider adding the question of the location of Lowell High School to the next citywide general election as a binding referendum, which the City Council is authorized to do under Chapter 43, Section 43. So I'd like to present this petition to the Council. Thank you.
Patricia Kerwin-Kilty.
Patricia Kerwin-Kelty.
I'll go next. Nancy McCarthy.
Hi, my name is Nancy McCarthy, 60 Virginia Avenue. What this comes down to is what is in the best interest of the students, the city, and the taxpayers. I'm going to ask this question, and it's going to lead off all of the points that I have to make. So if you believe in your heart of hearts and in good conscience that taking Lowell High School out of downtown is best for the students walking from the far ends of the city, the kids who are forced to walk, if you think this is okay, if you believe that taking Lowell High School away from the vital services used by hundreds of students, taking Lowell High School away from downtown businesses which bring energy, vitality, and needed business, disrupting the entire city of middle school and elementary school busing system, affecting thousands of students and families just to make the Colley site work at an added cost of millions annually. If you believe that added infrastructure, which is not included in the price of the Colley build, at a cost of added millions and disrupting a quiet neighborhood is okay. If you believe the taking of multiple businesses, frontage, parking, and long-standing restaurants' dining room, possibly putting them out of business and leaving their patrons no place to park is okay. If you believe it is more important to leave some millionaire dentists alone rather than take their building by eminent domain and relocate them to another downtown location, and in the process keeping Lowell High School downtown intact as Lowell High School and preserved for generations to come, if you believe that increasing traffic by 250 to 540% is okay and is in the best interest of raising the taxes by millions more is what's in the best interest, if you believe putting other needed projects in order to build at Colley Stadium is best, then please vote for Colley. If you believe in keeping the taxes down for the taxpayers is in the best interest of the residents, if you believe that keeping the students downtown in order to provide them the needed resources and the needed resources and vital services that they need is best, then I would like you to vote for downtown option 3. And if you can't do that in good conscience, then please put this to a vote for the voters on the ballot in November. Thank you.
Paul Haley. Paul Haley.
Paul Haley.
Mr. Manager, Mayor, City Councilors, I come before you tonight as a man who has lost a sense of pride for this once great city, a man who has lost his sense of pride of LHS. We have all lost an opportunity to bring this city together, to show our children what it means to be from Lowell. I wonder how once this vote is taken, how we as a city will respond. Will we honor our forefathers? Will we unite under one goal, or will we only show our children further divide? Will we only further promulgate our own agenda? Will we continue to spread rumors and lies in attempts to ruin good people's names and further our own agenda? I, for one, will not be part of any of it. I will stand in unity. For as long as I am here, I will work to heal the wounds and move towards a period of understanding. We should ensure that we will work with anyone and all of our neighbors to help make this city great again. We are all good people. We are all passionate people. But it is time to move past our differences. It is time for us to vote and begin a new chapter, using the amber of history to light the torch of our future. It is time to show all our children the pride of what it means to be from Lowell. As an alum of LHS, I ask you, please do the right thing. Vote for option 5. Furthermore, I ask that you, as a council, provide the leadership that is needed to unify this community. We, as a community, will need your wisdom and guidance to make this decision work for all residents. We, as a community, will work with you. We must be compassionate towards our neighbors' fears and help them address their issues. Thank you.
Robin Strong. Robin Strong.
I'd like to thank everybody. I just found out about this meeting a couple days ago. I couldn't make a lot of meetings because I'm normally in bed at this time and get up at midnight. I live on Douglas Road in Lowell. About 7 years ago, my mom got hurt, and she's been a lifelong resident of Douglas Road for over 45 years. And a neighbor came up to my house yesterday. Had no idea who it was. They said, you may want to make the meeting tomorrow night. I'm like, why? They said, eminent domain. I said, what are you talking about? Well, they're going to be taking your mom's handicap ramp out. My mom fell 7 years ago on Douglas Road today. She's on life support equipment. She has a trach. She has a feeding tube. This is the property with the handicap ramp. These people are going to take this out on a woman that's lived there for 45 years and not replace it. Ambulance come to the house all the time for my mom. We choose not to put her in a nursing home. My family and I take care of her. So what's going to happen? You're just going to put a sidewalk there, and how does she get out of the house from emergency? I called the handicapped people. They're going to get me an attorney, whatever I have to do, but I just don't get it. You just put a brand new softball field 5 years ago across the street. Spend millions of dollars on it. Now you're going to put a high school there, and I'm going to be looking out at my house at a softball field. You're putting it right in front of my house. I just don't get it. I mean, especially with my mom. Aren't you responsible to put something back there if you take something out? If you drive down Douglas Road, or anywhere in that neighborhood, you'll look at everybody's property. Nice green grass, flower beds, brick walls. Everybody takes care of their property in that neighborhood. You're gonna go in there and tear it all out? That ramp cost me $5,000 to put in. I have over $2,000 worth of flowers in that yard that's been there for 30 years. You can't replace the value of any of that. My mother makes $1,000 a month. How is she gonna pay for another handicap ramp? I'm on disability now. How am I gonna pay for another handicap ramp? Nobody got nothing in the mail. They're usually gonna do this to people's homes. I understand eminent domains. You're gonna take 8 feet. We've been taking care of the city's 8 feet of property for 45 years in my house, making the city's property look beautiful. Now you people are gonna come in and tear it out and make it look like shit. Sorry for swearing, but that's what's gonna happen. When we spend our money and our energy on this, I just don't think it's fair. I think Lowell High deserves to have a brand new high school, but I think you need to look somewhere else or keep it downtown Lowell. I agree 100% with a new high school, but I don't think you need to come in and tear up our families' homes. Milan's Pizza, I go there once a week. I personally don't like the place. But my nephews, I'm being honest, my nephews love their food. I can't stand it. He's still here. But And that's God honest. I go there once a week for supper for them. Alexander's Pharmacy. Right there. You know my parents, Brenda and Kendall Strawn. Like, they went there for their prescriptions. We're going back 50 years ago. They don't run the business anymore. Like she said, there's a doctor's office there, a medical center. You're taking this away from people that's been there for years. I just would like you to think twice about it. I was told not to even bother coming here tonight because your decisions were already made. It was going for Lowell. But if I can at least put something in your mind and maybe change your mind, I don't know. But that's all I want to say. Thanks.
Mike Dillon. Last speaker, Mike Dillon.
Wow. Thank you for having me. Appreciate the council, the city manager that you have me here to speak. I keep hearing easily accessible for all, and that's why I'm here. I'm here because I want every single kid in this city to be educated equally. And the only way that I see that being done is by busing the students. Don't groan, because we need to bus them no matter where they are. Everybody came up here and talked that, we want to provide an equal opportunity equal opportunity. I can't even say it. I heard it so many times. It's not equal now. Kids can't get to Lowell High now. No, they can't. When people come up here one after one and talk about equal opportunity education, we don't bus our kids to school. Are you kidding me? I am an educator. I'm a certified teacher in Massachusetts. I'm a licensed educator. I taught for 3 years. And I believe that truly. We have to educate every single kid. But stop telling me that if we build downtown and we don't bus them afterwards, that we're going to have equal opportunity for every kid, because we don't right now. Kids walk and have a tough time getting there right now. Thank you. I love Lowell. I love the history of Lowell. I love everything about it. And I'm going to look around this building for a second right now because this is awesome. I love these old buildings, and I think we should renovate as many of them as possible. We're talking about a school. We need a brand new school. We really do. We really need a brand new school. Brand new schools around the state are excellent. Our kids don't even know what they could have. They don't even know what they could have. They walk into North Hampton High School, they think they're in a mall. They say that when we walk in there. They don't even know, they've never had it. They haven't had a building to be proud of when somebody walks in. Build a brand new high school for our kids. We got to where we are through progress and through building and expanding and doing what is best for our kids. Equal opportunity means that we bus them. That does not mean just build a new school downtown, argue about busing money later. That needs to come along with no matter what happens here. That's equal opportunity education. Thank you. Build a new building, please, at all.
That concludes the public speaking portion.
Mayor Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This morning I voted for downtown option 3, and I was one of 9. The vote was 9-9, as was discussed earlier. And I do think that there's a lot of things I could say. I mean, I strongly feel that the high school should be downtown. I think there are as many reasons to keep the high school downtown, or just a few more reasons to keep, I think there's almost as many reasons to keep the high school downtown as there is not to move it to Collie. However, I do recognize, and I could talk about other things, but we've listened to almost 70 speakers, and we're probably going to be listening to many more city councilors discuss this, and the discussion has gone on forever. Maybe it will conclude tonight, but I suspect that it probably won't. However, rather than to get into why I think it should be downtown, because I don't think I'm going to sway anybody's vote here this evening, but I do think that, we got this petition, this 10 taxpayer petition from one of the speakers. The city council has the option of either addressing the petition or not addressing the petition. But if it doesn't address the petition, then those people have the option of going out and getting signatures and putting it on the ballot. And I would think if they had to go out and get the signatures to put it on the ballot, that they would probably be pretty upset with every member of this city council, since this city council is in a position to be able to accommodate them and not make them go through all that work. Now, I know that there are people probably who are ready to vote on an option, and they have no interest in voting on a referendum or a petition for a referendum this evening. However, let me suggest this. I think that we can do both things. So if I could ask the city solicitor, would we be able to put this on the ballot as a referendum in November and still send the Collie option, or whatever option wins this evening, to the MSBA for further review and study?
There's nothing that I could point to that would prohibit the council from doing that. And in fact, looking at how the council has proceeded up to this date, it is consistent with things that the council has done where there have been things on two tracks at the same time, and keeping all options open.
And if we don't do that, the citizens group would have the prerogative of doing that themselves, right? Or is that correct?
A citizens group could go out and get a requisite number of signatures, and if they succeeded, they then could put on the ballot a non-binding question.
Okay. Let me just suggest this, that the building committee, there's been endless discussion and debate over this. It hasn't always been good. It's been actually quite a bumpy road from my point of view, right along the whole way. But, and I was reluctant to consider a referendum when it was proposed by Councilor Belanger and by Councilor Elliott in previous months. But my only reluctance was not because of the referendum itself. It was because what I thought was going to be required and what would be best for the taxpayers is a debt exclusion referendum. And I thought if we put too many referendums on the ballot, it would just be confusing to voters. However, I think that given the circumstances here this evening, it's probably letting the voters decide trumps, no pun intended, trumps having the debt exclusion referendum on the ballot. I think the building committee this morning, after a good deal of study by a lot of people, a lot of educators, as was said here today, and people that were involved right along for months and months, came up to a 9-9 vote, a tie vote. So we have no recommendation before us this evening. This city council is probably in a 5-4 situation. So we have a decision that's going to be $350 million, and if it ends up being Collie, it's going to be at least $150 million for the city, as well as all of the, and that's going to be open-ended at that, because besides the $150 million, we've also got all of these additional costs that haven't even really been tabulated, at least with any accuracy. And those go from the operating costs for the busing, to the infrastructure costs, to the water and sewer costs, which haven't even been discussed at all, to the development of the replacement fields. If the Article 97 is passed, which I suspect that it probably will be, it's going to be an open-ended ticket for the taxpayer. So I have to say to myself, who's representing the taxpayer here? Which of us are representing the taxpayer? None of us can look taxpayers in the eye and say, yeah, we're representing you, we've got your best interest in heart, but what we're gonna do is go with the most, not only are we gonna vote for a super duper expensive high school, but we're gonna go with the most expensive option, and on top of that, there's gonna be extra costs, which we don't even know about yet. And we'll just find out about those later. So expect for your taxes to go up and go up significantly. And that's going to be debt service for 30 years, an amount between $8 and $10 million of debt service for 30 years going forward, which is not going to bankrupt the city, but it certainly will make it tougher for the city to go forward and do other projects in the future, because we're just not going to have the capacity. We'll have the capacity to borrow the money. Are we going to have the capacity to be able to pay it back? And that will be the issue. And so then I think, well, wait a minute, are we representing the neighborhoods? Well, what we're doing is we're taking a giant high school, 3,500 kids, the second biggest one in the Commonwealth, and we're plopping it right in front of Belvedere. And whether you think that Belvedere deserves that or doesn't deserve that, it's not a 500 student elementary school. It's a 3,500 student high school. It's a big deal. It would be a big deal if we were putting it in the Highlands. It'd be a big deal if we were putting it in Pawtucketville, and it'd be a big deal if we were putting it in Centerville or any place else. And I will tell you, although I'm going to live, if it goes to Collier, I will live 4/10 of a mile from the new high school. But I would have the same position if we were doing this to the Highland neighborhood or the Pawtucketville neighborhood or the Centerville neighborhood. It's not easy to say, oh, it's just a mild, it's not correct to say that this is just a mild inconvenience. It is not that. It is going to have a major impact. And it's not fair to say, well, listen, I'm for economic development and I don't want to do eminent domain downtown, but you know what? I'm okay with doing eminent domain up in 38. Because for a totally different reason. And what hasn't been said, the people that are here tonight, they're all good parents, I'm sure. The students that are here all have good parents that are here. The teachers that are here, they're all good. But you know what? There's a lot of people in the city that aren't here. And they're not here for a bunch of different reasons, but this city council represents, I don't just represent Belvedere, Councilor Samaras doesn't just represent Belvedere, Councilor Elliott doesn't just represent Pawtucketville, we're supposed to represent the entire city. We had a motion earlier tonight to create a subcommittee that's going to look at district councilors, because there are some people that don't think that we represent the entire city, but we do. So we don't just represent the people that are going to Lowell High School now, we don't just represent the people that are going to Lowell High School in the next 5 years, and we don't just represent the people in Belvedere or any place else. We are supposed to represent everybody. The disenfranchised, the people that aren't here, the kids that go to Lowell High School and don't have a computer in their house, and so they have to have access to the public library after school. And if they don't have that, they can't compete with the kids that do, and that's not fair. And who's speaking for those kids tonight? Who is? Well, I am, and I would expect that other people would as well. So I think that's what's fair and what's equitable, and by the way, the only thing that's going to bring the city together again is if we do a purely democratic process and put it on the ballot. Which vote to put it on the ballot, it does not mean that we can't also vote to send the option of our choice to the MSBA. But I would think that given the way this is, and it's been 50-50 all the way, and given that it's a 5-4 decision and the circumstances that go behind that decision that'll be made this evening, that the correct thing to do and the thing that people will most respect and they can't argue about is if it's put on the ballot. So with that said, I would like to make a motion that the petition that was submitted to the City Council earlier, signed by 10 taxpayers, be referred to the Law Department for review and recommendation at next week's meeting.
Point of order. Point of information. This has not been publicly advertised for this public hearing. Would this not be a violation of the open meeting law? This was not on the agenda.
If I could, Madam Solicitor?
It's true the petition wasn't advertised, but what was advertised tonight was the siting of the high school. And how that was going to take place in particular is not part of that advertisement. In short, I think that what you've heard tonight and the petition that you were presented with tonight is closely related enough to the underlying subject matter of this meeting that it would not in any way violate the open meeting law to accept a petition of that nature and act on it.
So with regards to the motion, second by Councilman Manazzo, Councilor Elliott.
This is not in the motion. Are we going to take the motion up?
This is on the motion, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I just wanted a point of information on this. I want to speak on at the appropriate time on the entire proposal.
Okay. So with regards to the motion, any comments?
Roll call.
Hold on, wait, no, I think, yeah, definitely. Listen, I wanted to speak as well on it. I think it's interesting that it comes up tonight. You know, I got to, in all honesty, look, there's good reasons to do both, and you're right. At the end of the day, the healing isn't going to happen for a long time. I'm not going to support the referendum. I think first of all, more people would have come down if they knew one way or the other, maybe to support it. But that wasn't something that was on, and all due respect, Madam Solicitor, I have great respect for you, but that wasn't something we were even discussing. It's true, folks can definitely go get the signatures, and they can definitely do it, because quite frankly, there's a lot of them that don't want that school to be moved out of downtown. That's just an abundant fact, and there's good reasons to keep it in downtown. But tonight, I can't support that at this point. If you want to bring it back again later with more time, then maybe we can take a re-look at that point in time. But in all due fairness, in all due respect, a lot of people don't even know we're even debating that point. They think we're voting right now on a particular option. And there can be good disagreement on that, but the fact is, a lot of people didn't come down. You're right. We represent everybody in the city. I happen to live in the Highlands. If you were going to put the high school in the Highlands, I would welcome it. I would welcome it. My neighborhood is diverse, and that's one of the reasons why we stayed in the Highlands. You know, the house I bought is the first house I bought. I can easily go buy a house someplace else, but it's because my neighborhood is great. When I first moved there, it was a lot of Irish and Jewish folks. Now it's like everybody, and the neighborhood improves, and it improves, and it gets better and better with different people coming into it. Who represents the kids? You know, one thing we talked about, the rich kids, we talked about the upper middle class kids, we talked about the poor kids. Nobody's talking about the average kid that nobody pays attention to.
Thank you.
Nobody. It's you know, I got to say this with a lot of respect, because the head of school, Brian Martin, is a great man. I think he's done many things in this city
that others could only dream of. It's somebody, when I moved to the city, I considered him a mentor. When I first moved to the city, I sat down and spoke with him. He actually appointed my first commission that I sat on. So someone I have a great deal of respect for, someone that it pains me that I don't agree with him on this particular issue. You know, he always said to me, nobody talks about the average kid. Nobody. Don't mention them. Like that kid, he or she just walks through it and does their thing and leaves. Nobody does anything for them. That's everybody. That's all spectrums of income. I started out, we were on the school committee when I put the motion in to begin discussing the Lowell High School. And the reason we did that was because the building was falling apart. And that was about 5 years ago. And more importantly, we sat down with the science department head, Roger Morneau, and we said our science labs don't compete with any of the surrounding schools. And we're going to start losing kids because they're going to have other options. That's where this all began. It didn't begin with an option at Cawley. I never dreamed I would even think of going to Cawley. When it first started, I was like, downtown is the best option. And, you know, and many people think that way, and they have good objective evidence, and I respect that. But there's other folks who have other objective evidence. We talked about tonight, I've heard things about it being $20 million for the Mass Department of Transportation. Is there any $20 million, Mr. Manager, for the fixed Route 38? Is there anything from the DOT? I didn't hear anything about that in any of the reports that I've read, but I've heard it said 3 or 4 times tonight.
No, we have no figure.
Okay, because it doesn't exist. It is very true that the biggest option to going to Cawley is traffic, and I've tried to work with every neighbor that I could, walking, talking to people, talking to Nick, our traffic engineer, working with John Dakota regarding busing. The reality is we haven't put enough thought into that. That's true. It's a massive problem in that area. But it's also a massive problem downtown. If you don't remember, we voted to allow apartments to go across the street from the high school. That hasn't even filled in with any kids yet. We're going to grow the Hamilton Innovation District. I know a lot of people like to laugh at that. I know not actually, Mayor Kennedy, you're a strong proponent of it. Very strong, positive proponent of it. We're going to develop that. That is going to happen. Over a third of it doesn't have any infrastructure, water or sewer. That's coming next year, next 2 years. We're building the courthouse. That is actually happening. These things are going to happen. They unfortunately take an inordinate amount of time. We are competing with Boston to some extent, but if you look at what they've done, we can be a lesser model of that, but in a very positive way. I understand the objective to keeping it downtown. I have a 10-year-old. If it goes downtown, I am going to send my child to downtown because I believe, and what someone earlier said today, the best education, the students have the best teachers you're ever going to hit anywhere. So if it goes downtown, I'm going to support it. I just happen to think that Cawley is a little bit better, that's all. I think it's better for the entire city.
Councilman Mazzo.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Just a point of clarification. We're not actually voting on the referendum this evening. We'd be just voting it to send to the solicitor's office, and then it will come back to this council for a vote. So again, we're not, I mean, Council Leary brings up a good point that it wasn't on the agenda. I mean, I do think it did get presented to us properly through the public hearing part of this agenda. But again, we're not voting on putting it on the ballot tonight. We're voting on sending it to the law department, who would then bring it back to this council for a vote. Is that correct?
Councilor.
Well, that is correct. And again, the open meeting law, however, you wouldn't have to anticipate every procedural move that would be listed on an agenda. So again, if something is closely related to the agenda item that is advertised, which I believe this would be, then it is properly before the council, and I believe that this is properly before the council. It can be referred to the law department and refer it back.
Okay, thank you. And then one other point that, again, Council Leary brought up about where did this $20 million figure come from, and the manager indicated he did not know where it came from. I understand that members of our state delegation did speak to Mass DOT, and they did speak to them relative to what Nick Bostonetto had presented to this council. And their just quick number that they threw out was about $20 million, which they said they're not prepared to pay for, that would be on our dime. They also indicated that the transportation improvements that they've already planned to improve Rogers Street from Boylston Street right up through Nesmith Street may now be shelved because they're not sure exactly what impact the Cawley High School location would have on those transportation improvements until they do further study. So again, we all know what we talked about last year when we were talking about Kittredge Park and the sidewalk might be removed. All of that now from Boylston Street up might, I'm just saying might, be put on hold based upon a conversation that members of our state delegation had with Mass DOT. Again, I'm prepared to vote tonight. I have a feeling that I know the way it's going to go. Again, I want to thank all of the speakers. I think that everybody did a good job. Some people got a little out of hand up in the left-hand corner of the balcony, but they're entitled. They're entitled to do that. They're entitled to do that. But I have to tell you, for the first time in my career as a city councilor and public servant, I can say that I think we have failed as a community, and there has been lack of leadership. With all due respect, Mr. Manager. To be clear, my opinion isn't solely about the choice of Cawley versus the downtown. It's time that we do look in the mirror, as people have said here this evening, and ask who we are and who do we serve. I understand this has been a very divisive issue. It's something that I just can't believe that this community that has always hung together so well is so divided. I understand the passion when it comes to making sure that one's children are given the best education, and I'll never seek to quiet the voice of anyone advocating for their beliefs as it pertains to their children. I've read literally hundreds of emails that have been sent to me. I've listened to the hundreds of speeches given. I've taken notes. I've processed the information. I've tried to separate out the facts from the dreams, and some of this is out there as dreams, unfortunately. From the speeches, conversations, and emails that I've exchanged with people, most have done their homework, while others rail in favor of a position without, in my opinion, giving credence to any argument contrary to their predetermined end game. But here we have gone astray. Truly, where we have lost our way is the behavior involved in us getting here. We are an elected body. The voters that have put us in a position of representing the city and its best interests believed in our ability to make a well-informed, educated decision based on all the facts, and not what, quote, others feel we owe them, or threats against livelihoods or even families in some cases that have been involved in this. There's been a resounding theme. Again, I'm just giving you my opinion, what I've seen, what I've read, of bullying, threatening, and intimidating. Some of these councils, my colleagues have gotten calls 5:30 in the morning from people. I mean, why would you do that to a city councilor, call them at 5:30 in the morning to talk about their position on the high school? Is this a lesson that we really, truly want to teach our children? I have to tell the viewing audience and the people here, and again, thank you for hanging in here, that this debate did turn divisive and ugly, and it's really too bad. Unfortunately, there were threats made to members of this council, and intimidation happened to be the order of the day for a few weeks here to make sure they could lock up that fifth vote. Disagreements generally lead to compromise and a better solution for all. But here, I don't believe that will happen. It's unfortunate because, I do think, and as we all do, that we do need a new high school. And again, as I count the votes, it looks or appears it will be going out to Cawley. But I, again, having been involved in the public arena for some time, I think the Cawley site, if it goes out of here 5-4, had a 9-9 vote by the building committee, I don't think the MSBA is going to look fondly on that, to be honest with you. And I think that based upon the cost, it being the most expensive, and then all of these other ancillary costs, I think the Cawley site may actually collapse under its own weight, which is really unfortunate. To touch upon what others have talked about and will probably talk about, but getting involved in social media over this whole debate has really been incredible. I was getting emails on Facebook tonight that my comment, again, to my colleague, Councilor Mercier, when she chose to question that young man, they just started beating me up on Facebook that I had no right to do that. I'm just being honest. We had a young man here at the microphone, and the seasoned city councilor decided she wanted to question him, which
have the right to do
it doesn't. I understand that, but he's a kid. He's a kid. But getting back to my point, it appears that Facebook now is a place where anything can be said and there's no accountability required, which has really hurt this process. Day in and day out, I'd read of the incompetence of the city council. I don't think we're incompetent at all. I don't think one of us is incompetent. I think we're all trying to do a good job for the city. But unfortunately, we did end up reading a lot of messages that if they disagreed with my position, they decided it was okay to say so on Facebook. They brought my daughter into the discussion. Why would you bring someone's child into the discussion? Just ridiculous. But it's important to remember, again, in my opinion, the same children that were so invested in protecting and nurturing in the safe school environment did witness this cyberbullying, again, in my opinion, and the intimidation of the counselors, their families, and other concerned citizens. Again, one site is going to be chosen over the other. And we do have a long way to go to try to heal our wounds as a city. And maybe this referendum will allow us to do that. Because at the end of the day, when this goes down to the MSBA, the Colley site being the most expensive, adding the busing, the replication of the fields, the right-of-way takings on right, which I can't even believe that people feel as though that really isn't going to happen. I mean, it has to happen if we're going to follow what our expert transportation traffic engineer is suggesting. Again, I understand where the dentist office is coming from, but at the end of the day, you know, maybe in 4 years from now, when the high school is built at Colley, that 75 Arcane Drive is going to be an island unto itself. It's going to be the only thing that's there, and unfortunately, the high school site won't have the economic development that we all hope it has. In fact, I'm thinking about filing a motion to this administration to make sure that the 1922 building becomes, I guess, what you could call a public charter school for the arts and humanities located at the 1922 building. Because I think it's important to make sure that we do have educational opportunities for the children. We can tie it in with the Public Matters course. It could be called the Public Matters Charter School for the Arts and Humanities at the 1922 building. Again, it probably won't go anywhere, but at the end of the day, I think it's important to have equal access for our students, especially those that live so close to the downtown. So again, I'm prepared to vote for this tonight. I'm prepared to, unfortunately, be on the losing end. I did say, and I'm going to get some jeers now, I did say a week ago that if it was a Colley site, I would change my vote. I'm not going to change my vote. I'm not going to change my vote. I think this debate has gotten so ugly, in my opinion, and how, quote, the fifth vote was delivered was so bad that I don't want my name associated with it if it ends up going 5-4 to Colley. So, again, one final point. The Colley site does not, and it was mentioned this morning at the school building committee meeting, does not even meet, and I'll look to the experts, the MSBA criteria for site selection. The site selection, as they state, shall be chosen on the basis that it will meet the educational needs, maximize the use of any available community resources, and minimize any possible adverse educational, environmental, social, or economic impact on the community. The Colley site doesn't meet that standard, absolutely doesn't meet the standard. And then it goes on to say, to the extent feasible, the site selection shall be proximate to other facilities such as libraries, museums, natural resources, natural study, and businesses which will enhance the proposed educational program. The Colley site does not do that. So again, it's a debate that unfortunately divided the city. I will certainly try to do, outside of voting for the Colley site, I will certainly try to do what I can to try to bring the community back together. But the way, and again, you can point to people, you can point because it was the emotions of the moment, the way they, quote, delivered their fifth vote, I just can't be a part of it.
Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Through you to the city manager. Mr. Manager, are you on that building committee this morning?
Yes,
And how did you vote?
I voted for Colley 5.
Thank you. I will preface my remarks by saying that this is the most difficult, the most expensive, and the most important vote I will ever have taken in my 22 years on the City Council. This vote defines the future of education in the 21st century. I take this vote very, very seriously. I have put a lot of time and effort to arrive at the decision that I feel is not just for the best interest of our city, but most importantly, for our students. There is no perfect solution, and no site is without flaws. And I realize that whatever way I vote, I will disappoint residents, and for that, I'm sorry. But I must be true to myself before I can be true to anybody here. I have to live with myself. But I am a bit selfish, though. I want the best for our students. I want something brand new, like other communities have. Our sons and daughters deserve the Colley site, option 4. I come to this choice for many reasons. To the parents who want no disruption in their students' education and a better learning environment that meets all the educational objectives, goals, and requirements, my vote is for you. To the future students who will not have to worry about safety in a work zone, compromised air quality, or health issues by being exposed to hazardous material, this vote is for you. To the many Lowell High School to the many Lowell High School employees who told me that they support the Colley site but were told to be quiet or were afraid of repercussions, this vote is for you. To the doctors on Arcan Drive who stuck with this city in good times and bad for 40+ years, this vote is for you. If you feel that we shouldn't help those out-of-city dentists, then tell Sal Lapoli that we don't want his money either. To the out-of-city investors that believe and invest in Lowell, this vote is for you. To the 60+ employees, 23 of which are Lowell residents, and your 38,000+ patients that also create a spin-off to other businesses, this vote is for you. Please know that my vote will not do to you what was done to the Perkins Park condo owners. To the many parents of future Lowell High School students who look forward to the day that their sons and daughters can take part in after-school activities of their choice because there is a true athletic educational campus experience, this vote is for you. To the special needs kids who have been down in the basement and hidden at Lowell High School for too long, let's get them out and up and into a new school. This vote is for them. And I know that I heard skeptics here tonight that said, nobody's coming downtown if Lowell High School goes to Colley. Nobody's going there. Are these the same skeptics that say there will not be a new judicial court center, but there's building one, and nobody ever thought that would happen? And I kept saying, yes, they'll build it. Option 4 is the most expedient option. It creates a sense of community and can act as a destination, just like the Judicial Center, that's a destination. I do not want to lose parents and students to a mass exodus to other out-of-town schools because of the disruption, and I know that this will happen. I will invest in you by saying this vote is for you. Stay here. People wonder what will become of the downtown site. Great things will happen. This is an opportunity to show vision on what this city can do. The Planning and Development Office and interested developers have ideas that can turn this area into tax-producing revenue, disposable income, and be a great attraction. It can happen. I believe it. We will find creative solutions. That's why we're sitting here. I firmly believe it. Have trust in our administration and their staff. The city assessor, Susan LeMay, stated at the first forum that building the high school at Collie would result in literally no impact or loss to any of the property values or assessed sale prices in the immediate area abutting the high school. Both public safety officers, Superintendent Taylor and Chief Winward, said that Collie site poses no danger with response time. Superintendent Taylor said that Collie site seems safer with fewer doors to be monitoring, and we all heard that you get less change orders and cost overruns with new construction. They said that, not me. With option 4, our operating costs on utilities would be more cost efficient and cheaper to maintain in the long run, and the savings would offset some of the cost of a new school. With option 4, there is no endangered wildlife, no reduction to auditorium seating, same amount as at Lowell High School. These are all the things that I'm hearing and why I'm making my decision. I will leave you with this fact. The City Council in 1990 did not procrastinate. They bit the bullet and they voted to build 11 new schools throughout the city, under the leadership of former city manager Jim Campbell and former superintendent of the Lowell schools, George Sapasaris, and that particular city council. They made it happen. That was leadership. That was vision. That was courage. Let's do the same in 2017. Let's show that we have vision. Let's show leadership, and let's be courageous by showing that by our vote, we are willing to invest in your children's future. They deserve this gift. Please use your united energy not to criticize any further, not to be calling me names, not be calling me a murderer if traffic doesn't get to their loved ones in time. I'm not a murderer, but you might think so. Please use your united energy not to criticize further, but use your united energy to make this project work. Say no more, just vote option 4. Thank you.
Councilor Belanger.
Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. This process has certainly, I think, was described tonight by a speaker as an odyssey, and that could not be a better word to describe this long and lengthy process that took nearly 24 months to complete. And this council worked very, very hard to come to a decision here tonight. Now, if I may, I'd like to explain to the best of my ability to those in audience tonight and to the residents of Lowell how I came to my decision. Okay? It is thought by some, but my decision has been made from either political contributions or threats, okay? And neither one of them are truthful, okay? So let me begin to tell you how I came to my decision. While I started serving in office in 2014, the Lowell High debate evolved larger and larger each week. At the time, I was a downtown businessman for nearly 15 years. I had a great understanding of the downtown and the condition it was in and the direction I felt we needed to go. It does not make me smarter than any of my colleagues, but I had that advantage by being a downtown businessman. Okay, so by that being said, I said publicly on many, many occasions that perhaps if this high school comes to a decision, we should look at alternative locations and begin a new vision for the downtown in the city of Lowell. So I challenge anybody to find a comment in the last 3+ years that favors me in the favoring the downtown location. It is simply not there. Okay? However, I am a realist. As this process evolved, high costs became a reality. On or about February 2017, cost estimates came in that were sky high, far higher than what any one of us had signed on for about 18 months prior to that, when the College Stadium was priced at $250 million with an 80% reimbursement, translating to about a $50 million bond in the city of Lowell. Well, guess what? The costs have more than tripled. So then I began to pivot, and the college supporters took note of it. Don't you worry, okay? So what was an educational decision now became an educational and an economic decision. That my view and my vision may not be a reality. So with that being said, I began to give downtown a full consideration, and I did that. I gave every option a full exploration and consideration, okay? I've considered options that aren't even on here, locations that aren't even on there. I considered putting it on a ballot in December, and no one's listening. It seems to be popular tonight with those who's not going their way, but I propose that too. Okay, so this idea of flip-flopping and threatens is garbage, okay? I am very proud of the way I handled this whole process. I worked very, very hard, and yours truly has been a victim as of late of some very, very vicious comments, rhetoric, rumors, lies, and you name it, okay? But I understand passion is high, okay? I understand these are times where you're elected official, you are open to criticism. However, there are several out there that have crossed the line, okay? But I represent the city of Lowell, and I will always do that with class. So I have overlooked some of those comments for the time being. So with that being said, give the downtown a full consideration once again. Looking at every option, speaking to all parties, meeting with all sorts of individuals, emailing, phone calls, you name it, just like my colleagues. I'm not saying I'm special. I gave it full consideration. And in the end, I came up with the decision that College Stadium was the better decision. But that was not without high consideration and thought for all option and our kids, who gave some very, very moving testimonies, no doubt about it, okay? And like anything else would have changed my mind, okay? Well, I'll tell you what, okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be very honest and upfront. Yes, sure, I've accepted political contributions from those doctors in that office. But you know what? I almost took the building. I almost did. You do not know how close I came, okay? Political contributions do not buy you votes. Simple as that, okay? So I stand that, I say that very loudly and very proudly, okay? So in the end, after a thorough research and vetting, I came up with the decision that College Stadium was the better option. Okay, if we're going to spend this kind of money, okay, I've talked about finances. Again, no one was listening, okay? I mentioned options that aren't even on the table. Just a renovation, basic renovation, very unpopular, okay? No one wanted it. So it seems to be the will of the people, after talking about the finances of this and the reality and how strapped we're going to be for the futures to come, it seemed to be the will of the people, either option 3 or College or go home. Okay, so that's what I did. I made a decision, what I felt was best, that met or exceeded the education plan, had the less disruption to students, less exposure to the elements, and what I felt in the end was the best for the students, for the future of the city of Lowell. So that's how I came to my decision. So I know the rhetoric's going to continue, okay, and I'm going to still continue to take the high road for the city of Lowell. Now, I am prepared to make a vote here tonight, and I've said it loud and clear through a statement, and it's for College Stadium, and not exactly by a huge margin, okay? Now, I don't know what's going to happen from here on in. There are several challenges. I don't know what's going to happen. There may, the OPM further investigates the Colley site, and may prove to be even more unaffordable. And if we have to pivot towards downtown, then so be it. That may very well be the case. I don't know. There's a long way to go in this process, okay? But I am flexible, and I'm going to do what's right for the students and the taxpayers of the city of Lowell. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Councilor Leary. Just for my own edification, because maybe I missed it, and Councilor Milanazzo pointed out, the delegation was talking about a $20 million from the Mass DOT. I first heard about this when someone sent me an email a day, or maybe 2 days ago, I can't remember. And I called, I guess, Mr. McGovern. You know nothing about it either, I don't believe. So I guess the question is, I don't know about it. Maybe I'm misreading something, because there's a lot of information coming in. Why do other people know and I don't know? Did I simply just not read a piece of paper that came in? Is there something that I just missed? And I may have, because there's a lot of information out there. I don't think I did, and maybe that's probably part of the problem. There's a lot of information, and people seem to have information that other people don't have, or they embellish one side over the other. I mean, when someone wrote to me that, I was dumbfounded why $20 million would be used to reconfigure Route 38 up in that area, because I think we're doing $15 million for the Lord Overpass and all the reconfiguration. So I didn't understand it. So I was thinking maybe they were confused regarding the infrastructure for water and sewer and parking lots. Can someone educate me? Again, maybe I just simply missed it. That's a huge issue. I mean, it's significant.
I'm not saying that they didn't go to DOT and get that. I'm not saying that. It just, that information was never relayed to me.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that the delegation didn't go to DOT and get some type of estimate. I'm just saying it was never relayed to me as a figure.
So part of the issue here why there's a lot of folks angry is because different issues come up and nobody knows about it. And I don't blame you, because it just, the Article 97, when Sanska went to look for the deeds and different pieces of land, there was no Article 97 found, but yet there clearly was. So this is where I guess a lot of the genesis of the mistrust and confusion, in addition to being a very complex project. You know, one of the things that I've tried to do, and I think many of us have tried to do it, is I've walked Douglas Road knocking on doors, talking to people. You know, Mr. Montgomery and I have had several conversations. He has legitimate concerns regarding his area, regarding the traffic. Busing costs, you know, we were working on that when I was on the school committee regarding rezoning years ago. And a lot of it, the deseg order plays a large problem in that. But we also, when we had a plan, the plan was quickly dismissed because it didn't meet certain criteria. That was one shot at the plan. I guess it's just frustrating. So the DOT thing really kind of surprises me because I knew nothing about it. That's interesting. The last part I want to add, too, is about the eminent domain for the dentist office. You know, if option 3 wins, I will vote for eminent domain for the dentist office because it's that important for the project to win. Whatever option wins, I'm going to support because we need a new high school. I just felt that Colley was the best option, that's all. I appreciate folks getting angry about it and having real passion about it, because some people, like if you're living in the area where Colley is, you are directly impacted. There is no doubt about it. As far as representing all the community, I thought we all did. You know, I thought I was really, in my mind, I was looking out for people, making it better. Mike Dillon probably summed it up best tonight. Ultimately, kids are using the LRTA and using their own money to get to school. That's just wrong. Even if it goes downtown, we should be looking at options for busing. I think we're one of the only cities of our size that doesn't have busing. So you're talking about reaching out to the community that doesn't have the financial access, whether it be money for the LRTA that they're paying, or cars, or friends that can drive them, or they walking. I mean, sometimes you're walking in the rain. Sometimes you're walking when it's like really cold. Maybe it'd be nice to have a school bus if you're like far away. And far away, I mean like, you know, you're in the area of Middlesex Street, which is far away. It'd be good to have a bus. I don't know what the end result is at the end of the day. Whatever option's decided, I'm going to work with all my fiber to make sure it works. I'm just a little surprised at some of the information, and again, maybe I missed something, because there's a lot of information. Maybe there's different ways I interpret that information. I think that's part of the genesis of why folks on both sides are frustrated. And again, it is a $336 million project if you're going to option 5, which I will support. That's significant money. That's the biggest, that's massive tax increase for everybody. What I thought we were going to be doing by this point is pivoting to talk about how are we going to get other folks to help share that burden. We mentioned, Lowell General or Circle Health. And if they paid 1% tax, $1 million, that's 1% tax. That's what their property taxes would be. That would be significant to the debt. Significant. We're talking about reaching out to the MSBA. I think that's what we're doing anyway at this point, and they're going to be looking at square foot costs. That would be significant. Bottom line is we need to do something for the high school. People are leaving the school. If you're looking at it, the populations are going down, and there is a bubble that's going to come through, but that bubble has options. And they will go other places. This council, before I got on, voted to do a renovation project that added science labs to the Greater Lowell Technical High School. Greater Lowell Technical High School has better science labs than Lowell High School. Now, that's a good thing because the skill sets now and the training now for today's economy requires that, but we must have that in order to compete, in order to keep, folks living in the city. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. The motion before us is just to refer the citizens petition to the Law Department for review and recommendation. A lot of the discussion that's going on isn't germane to that. I'm just expecting that after that motion is passed or not passed, that there's going to be a motion to approve a certain option. It's 10 minutes at 12. Could we vote on the motion that's before us right now?
Yes, can I move the question?
Yes.
With regards, Madam Solicitor, just to forward the petition to you. Right. There's, by Mayor Kennedy, second by Councilman Milanazo. Roll call.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Leary.
No.
Counsel Mercier.
No.
Counsel Milanazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
No.
Counsel Samaras.
This is to ask for information, correct? From the city solicitor, provide information.
Yes.
No, it's to ask to prepare a vote.
The question is to prepare, to revert to the solicitor to prepare a vote.
The motion is to ask for a review and recommendation. Right?
That's what I heard. So
That's the motion, review and recommendation from the Law Department.
So I'll say yes to a recommendation review. I'm not correct? It's been corrected, okay.
Counsel Belanger.
No.
Counsel Elliott.
No.
Motion fails.
Council Samaras?
Thank you. Mr. Manager, there's been a lot of angst regarding the eminent domain on option 3. But the thing is, we don't have that same angst over the possibility of eminent domain with option 4. Could you provide a report as to what will happen or what potentially can happen so the people who face this problem really have an idea if it's true or not true? That's a concern I have. All right. The other aspect is that today, we received more information as to the budget, but I think we need a constant updating as to any budgetary changes or mistakes that might have been made as to actual costs. So if I think that's one thing that has to be provided to us on a constant basis. What's the money? Where is it? Okay. The issue is this. I think it's going to take a long time for this to heal, but it's going to have to. As I said at the beginning, I was thrilled by the fact that there was so much energy about building a high school, not about where it should go, but just building the high school. But it's become to where it should go, and we all have difference of opinions. And I think it's okay to have difference of opinion, because that's what makes it a better process. I did put out an outline as to what I felt should be done. And I gave this a lot of thought, and I'm going to stick, and this is going to be my vote tonight, but I'd like to review some of the points that I raised before I make this vote. And I really started the item by saying that Lowell City Council has a task of one of the most important decisions it has faced in many years. The future of Lowell High School students. I didn't say new buildings. I said, what is the future of Lowell High School students? In making this choice, I identified 3 priorities for making the decision. 1, what best meets the needs of students of Lowell High School? 2, how will this impact their future and the future of the city of Lowell? And what are the short-term and long-term economic ramifications of this decision for all of us? And then I was very clear that I had 2 options. I wasn't going after option 1 and 2. I was looking at option 3 and option 4 as 2 viable procedures. Okay, why my choice? Just like option 4, the option 3 plan will allow for the construction of brand-new buildings without impacting the daily life or safety of students, and will ultimately result in the creation of a centrally located high school campus in the heart of the downtown Lowell, and to do so at a lesser cost to the taxpayers of Lowell. I truly feel that this option meets the academic, social, cultural, and economic needs of all students, giving them a level playing field to be the best they can be. On this issue, my position is unique, and I believe that. For 19 years, I did serve as headmaster of Lowell High School. My views are therefore not based on the information I received during the council information process, but also very much formed by my experiences at the school and the many Lowell High School graduates who have in recent months approached me, especially with firsthand accounts of why they like the high school to be downtown. And basically, this is what it's about. The city of Lowell and Lowell High School have what I call a symbiotic relationship, which I have not seen in any other city. And believe me, during my tenure as headmaster of Lowell High School, I went to many towns and cities to look at what Lowell High School was about and make some comparisons. And I would, at any point, put our students against any students, whether it was an affluent suburban town or a place like Cambridge. It has allowed my students to take advantage of the many support programs that are located in the downtown. It has allowed for students to participate in the many after-school activities, both in school and in downtown. It has created a synergy with the Pollard Memorial Library, Middlesex Community College, and the University of Massachusetts Lowell that few high schools have in the entire country. This partnership that we have with the many businesses in the downtown have also led to creation of one of the best scholarship programs of any public high school, which is now closing in on $5 million of endowed funds. Why do I believe this? It was, and some people tell me, these are old-fashioned ideas, but 50 years ago, Pat Mogan had a vision and saw the potential of downtown Lowell, where few others did. He saw that education and economic vitality truly go hand in hand. The original goal of the National Park effort was to create an educative city. Over the past decades, as the downtown has revitalized itself, Lowell High School has thrived at the center of it all. I really see no reason to abandon that vision today for our students. Lowell High School is a true microcosm of today's world and tomorrow's future. Thereafter, giving this matter a great deal of thought and study, I earnestly believe that option 3 will be the best choice for students. And this was something that I debated with Pat Mogan for many years. I do believe he's as accurate today as he was then. If you think about Lowell High School, a number of years ago, it was outlined in Newsweek magazine as one of the most outstanding urban high schools in the country. Another time, Boston Magazine outlined Lowell High School as one of the best administrative high schools based on the programs that it offered to its students for the price that it did. In other words, we did our job well. That's been the Lowell High School in downtown. That's why I support the Lowell High School in the downtown. I believe it has given every student a level playing field and equality of access. I understand where the people are coming from with Colley. I too looked at Colley and had some excitement about the potential of putting our students there. But I honestly believe, and I will stay with this, based on my experience, the downtown option, option 3, is best for our students. Thank you.
Before you start, we don't have a motion on the floor. I don't know if the council wants to proceed with just voting up or down on one option, or whether everybody just wants to state the option that they want, but we don't have a motion on the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion that we go, as we do the mayor, as we select a mayor and go in alphabetical order, starting with whoever it is and what option we choose.
Okay, is there a second to that procedure by Council Rourke? Discussion on the procedure? All in favor, all opposed? So voted. Council Leahy.
Thank you. I just want to add, I know it's getting late. We've been here all night. Thank you to everybody that came down to speak. We heard a lot of good, compelling arguments. And, you know, either site is going to be a great school for the high school. You could argue almost any point on either side of the coin here. Would we love a brand-new school? Yes, but most of the buildings downtown are going to be new. Colley's going to be one big new building. Downtown's going to be separate new buildings with the renovation of the older Kirk Street building. You know, it's a compelling argument that the students bring. I think that we have to listen to them. I think they know what they want. They go there. They have their opinion, and it should be heard. You know, when we first started this, the cost was going to be a lot lower. The reimbursement rates, we weren't sure what they were going to be. And, you know, that's the flaw of this whole system. We don't even know what the reimbursement's going to be on either site. There's a lot of unknowns, like many of the councils have said. If we go out to the Colley site, we don't know what infrastructure costs are going to be. To my knowledge, we haven't paved Douglas Road because it's been understood that you have to do the water separation, the sewer separation out there. Does that have to be done? I don't know. That hasn't been brought up yet. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns on both sites. But I do know that if the high school stayed downtown because of the tradition and the history and the diversity and the equal opportunity for all students to get to it, it's going to be a great project. It's going to be done safely, and it's going to be done with the extreme caution to students, staff, and everybody. You know, Councilor Leary and I served on the school committee for many years, and I have my doubts because for years we fought for busing, not for all students, but just buses to get the kids from the high school to Colley. And we couldn't even get people to pay for 1 or 2 buses. And now we're saying we're going to provide transportation to everybody. And that'd be great. But I doubt that because I fought for the last 15 years trying to get busing, and it just doesn't happen. You know, we fought about school raises. We fought about science labs that were supposed to be fixed numerous times, and we never did it right. So I have my doubts. But I know that, you know, this city, we know that we want to do what's right for the students, and there's no question about that. And it's okay to have a difference of opinion, whether you want it out at Collie or whether you want it downtown. As Council Belanger said, we tried to offer different sites. Those weren't on the table now. So now we're looking at a vote, downtown, or do we move it? And that's fine. And I know that I'm going to vote for the downtown site because I like that site, and that's all right. And I may not be on the winning side tonight, and that's all right. But I'm glad that everybody came down, had the opportunity to speak, and wherever we go after tonight, I think we have to really explore the options, make sure that, number one, we can afford it, because again, we don't know what this is going to end up costing us. And again, over the last few years, trying to get things done at the police station hasn't happened. Trying to get turnout gear for our firefighters hasn't happened. All of a sudden now we've got a ton of money, we're gonna raise taxes. We don't even know what we're gonna raise the tax rate to and what we can afford and how hard we're gonna get hit and who's gonna have to leave the city and who's gonna have to sell their homes. I mean, these are all unknowns, but we need to come together and do this smartly so the people who have spent their whole lives here can actually stay in the city. And all these things just need to be considered. So whichever way the vote goes tonight, let's get behind this project and come up with some answers and do what's right for everybody in the city. And the other thing that's been a little disappointing is we haven't heard from the school administration where they want to be. They have an educational plan, but they've been quiet through this whole process. And they needed to give us some guidance on what they thought was going to be the best site or the best plan or the best for the students. And I think that fell far short. So I'm prepared tonight to vote. And I think after this, we just need to get together and make this happen and make it happen for everybody.
Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I may briefly touch on finances once again, that from some of the speakers this evening, this misnomer that Collie Stadium is far, far more than option 3. Again, option 3 is not a bad option at all, okay? So on paper, Collie Stadium is approximately $149 million. Option 3, approximately $143 million, okay? Now, Collie Stadium has infrastructure, no doubt about it, that's going to go up. Option 3, in my opinion, the two variables are the eminent domain, only $2 million budgeted for that eminent domain. That is going to be very, very messy. It's going to be far greater than $2 million, there's no doubt in my mind. Okay, option 3 has the more likelihood of cost overruns because you're dealing with old overstructure. Let's take a look at the Tiger Grant with the bridges we're dealing with. We're at a great shortage there because it's old infrastructure. So, but I think we failed the public in one regard. Okay, and I'm not pointing fingers at the administration or my colleagues. Okay, we failed to educate the residents of Lowell the true financial picture of this project. Okay, there were 60 speakers, and I think one alluded to costs being too much money, but we've had hundreds and hundreds. There's probably been one or two out of hundreds of speakers that says, take a look at money and consider costs, okay? So I think we failed in that regard by letting the taxpayers know that, and on both sides, option 3 or Collie are both equally unaffordable, okay? And they're going to result in an 8 to 9% tax increase along with the normal costs. We're going to be knocking at the door of the levy almost overnight, and for one building. That is why I looked at other options, cheaper options in the downtown that were less sexy, less attractive, but we could have done a lot more with $150 to $160 million. We could have addressed the high school, perhaps the other 29 schools, and a police station, okay? But no one was listening, okay? I was a man on an island. So, with that being said, I feel strongly that we failed in that regard, and that being educating the voters and the residents of Lowell as to the true financial picture of this project, which, again, it's not over yet. The decisions look like it's going to be made tonight in favor of Collie. I'm not so sure it's over, but time will tell. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion? Counselor Rowe.
I just move the question, ready to vote.
No, I want to speak, please.
Counselor Elliott.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone who has reached out to me over the last several months. I appreciate their input and their decision in the Lowell High School location. I've read all the emails, text. I still have some phone calls to make. We've tried to keep up with it. And I certainly haven't taken this vote lightly. It's weighed heavily for months. I do think it's unfortunate the way this has played out. I do think it's, starting with the Article 97 and ending tonight, Mr. Mayor, with what seems like a pretty well choreographed presentation of 10 signatures to present this to the ballot when it was 10 weeks ago, Mr. Mayor. You and the 4 members of the city council that want to put this on the ballot now voted against my motion. That was in August, so I think it's very disingenuous. I am all for putting this on the ballot. I had the motion, but if there was a sense of being genuine that you really wanted to put this on the ballot, you would have supported my motion weeks ago.
You know what, Counselor? It's my
I have the
memory
floor,
that when
Mr.
you...
Mayor. Mr.
No.
Mayor.
I'm going to speak on a point of
Mr. Mayor, I have the floor.
On a point of personal privilege,
I have the floor.
Counselor. No, you don't.
I have the
Not
floor,
on a
Mr.
point
Mayor.
of personal privilege, you don't.
Mr.
You were the
Mayor.
mayor before, you know you don't have the floor.
I have to yield you the floor. I have the floor, Mr. Mayor. Can I
And
finish?
yield the floor.
You
Go
spoke
ahead.
for 15 minutes. Can I speak for a few minutes,
No.
Mr. Mayor?
No.
It's talking.
When you had your motion for a referendum,
You voted
did
against
not,
it.
You didn't support the motion.
So-
You didn't argue for the motion. What you did is defended the idea that you
Mr.
put the
Mayor-
motion in just so that you could get a headline in the paper the next day. Go ahead, Counselor.
Mr. Mayor, can I please speak? Or you're going to
ahead.
gavel?
Go ahead,
You're
Counselor.
going to gavel me down again?
Go ahead, finish up.
So that is the reason why I voted for the motion, because it's disingenuous. This is the last-ditch effort. This is what it is. It's just another reason to try to delay this, because the vote's not going your way. You voted against it before because you thought you were going to have the vote for calling. Let's call it what it is. Let's be honest. Tell the people the truth.
The truth is that the
So,
petition
Mr.
came
Mayor,
from 10 citizens.
Do you not want me to speak, Mr.? Can I?
I don't
please
want you to
speak?
make stuff up, Counselor.
So, over the course of my career in the city council for the last 20 years, I have made a mark by voting against what I thought was unnecessary spending for 20 years, and projects that I considered, that are not considered basic service for a community that must provide education, public service, general municipal services. At times, I voted against budget and wasteful spending in an effort to keep taxes affordable in a city where many folks live at or below the poverty line, and they work 2 jobs just to make ends meet. I take to heart that I have represented a segment of the population that at times do not feel heard. I haven't changed in 20 years, and I'm not changing now with this vote. I've pushed for 0 tax increases that have resulted in excess levy capacity and lower taxes for residents and businesses. And I think because of those initiatives and the foresight of other past councils, Lowell has the capacity to fund a new or renovated high school within its existing levy and debt structure. My father was a graduate of a class of 1948 at Lowell High School. I didn't attend Lowell High School. My wife did. My daughter, my uncle, my aunts, countless cousins and friends have attended Lowell High School. My wife came up before one of the sessions, at one of our sessions, to speak about the field that is dedicated to her late brother. And my mother and my father-in-law, who are both graduates of Lowell High School, and have a field at Colley named after Tommy that will be lost if a new high school is located, and they're willing to give up that honor for a new high school. I can tell you that each of these people are very close to me, and they all support the Colley option. When you look at the options and the condition of the high school, it's clear that something has to be done. Providing a basic, safe school is a primary function of government. It's not a luxury item. When we have a Board of Health take an unprecedented action of moving to condemn your high school because of deteriorating condition, as an elected official, it's our responsibility to take notice and to act. To do nothing is the definition of negligence. The estimated cost between the option is so close that they make the project cost basically the same. We're talking about $12 difference per year. That's $1 a month. We were led to believe that the Colley option was going to be astronomically higher than downtown, and when all was said and done, it didn't occur. After reviewing all the alternatives and looking at what has occurred in the past at Lowell High School renovations, I truly believe once you get into a renovation, project costs will skyrocket, and we will pay more after all that is said and done. If we choose to go down a renovation road again, what will we be left with? It's exactly what we've been left with in the past. A substandard school that we'll have to revisit in another 20 or 30 years. We've done this twice in recent memories, costing taxpayers millions of dollars. That, as the Sun editorial points out, is just throwing good money after bad. After much soul searching and contemplation, the question I always come back to is simply, what would I want for my own child? Would I want my child's education disrupted in a construction zone for 4 to 5 years? Is it fair to subject children to potentially hazardous conditions? Would I want my child in a modular classroom all over the downtown? Do I want to put my family, friends, and your children in a disruptive construction zone? I keep coming back to no. Future generations will look back on this as a legacy vote. A vote that, when viewed within the clarity and hindsight, will be considered a turning point, not only in Lowell High School history, but the city's storied history. I see the downtown being able to be developed. Now, when you look as a final, I haven't changed. As a fiscal person, you have to look at revenue before you proceed any further. It's almost basic finance 101. Where are we going to get the money to pay for this? We can do one of two things. We can go down the old path and just raise taxes on businesses and homeowners. And I don't think that's a prudent approach. That's not being fiscally responsible. Or we take untaxable property as it exists right now and develop it. And I do believe in the city. Is it a dream? I think it's reality. As I sat here and I made my decision, I look at the mills that have developed downtown. And if we had this notion not to think that we can do better, that we can build Lowell up, and that we can continue to change, we wouldn't have the Market Mills, the Lawrence Mills, Perkins Place, St. Joseph High School. The list goes on and on. We have built 96% of the vacant mill space in this city. And whether it's Artist Lofts or the university, whether you believe me or don't, that property is prime real estate downtown. We have Thorndike Street. We have a development at the old, across from the auditorium. People want to live in cities. Urban centers are redeveloping themselves, and they're doing it by building housing downtown to get and keep people downtown. I think it's real. I think it's not only plausible, it's possible. I see what the future downtown can be by relocating Lowell High School. And I see it's fiscally responsible for us to vote on a project that has a real revenue stream. Right next to the high school is a $40 to $50 million taxable development. The Vision property. That tells me that's a pretty valuable piece of property. And Lowell High School, 6 acres, 6.6 acres, sits right in the middle. I see development of the 1922 building, and we've had developers say that is attractive, that it is realistic, and it will. That could be possible. Condos are selling for $300,000 on the average downtown. That's over $4 million in tax revenue that will offset the cost of paying for this. And I think that's thinking outside of the box. I think that's what you have to look at. We will have new downtown residents with disposable income spending money in the restaurants. I see the ability of freeing up and saving millions of dollars by freeing up space in the AR garage and not having to build another parking facility. I see the sale of Lowell High School of $3 to $4 million, providing the one-time cost of revenue for sidewalks and lights at the new high school. I do see, and people can chastise and chide, I see endless economic development opportunities in the downtown. I see our future. I'm voting for option 5, Colley Stadium.
Is there any future discussion? Anybody else? Let me just ask one question before we proceed with the vote, Mr. Manager. Has the Department of Transportation indicated that they will not participate financially in any improvements along Route 38?
Yes, that was articulated to me yesterday by the delegation, that they will not give any money towards any transportation improvements.
Thank you. Roll call?
Okay, we're gonna ask each counselor to state their option that they're preferred. Mayor Kennedy.
Downtown option 3.
Council Leahy.
Downtown option 3.
Council Leary.
Colley, option 5.
Council Mercier.
Colley, option 5.
Council Milanazzo.
Downtown option 3.
Council Rourke.
Colley, option 5.
Council Samaras.
Downtown option 3.
Council Belanger.
Colley, option 5.
Council Elliott.
Colley, option 5.
Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Council Mercier, second by Council Rock. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed.